Do you want a second light on, or is it unnecessary?
Do you want to be safe and add another light anyway?
Sure, why not? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, professionalism at its finest. 10 out of 10.
Yes. This is what happens when you record the Em&Cas Vodcast late at night. So, that being said, and in case you're wondering why I can't see, unfortunately, I suffer from astigmatism, and I don't have my contact lenses in right now because they're a pain in the rear end to put in this late at night, especially when you want to go to bed. So I'm just not bothering. Oh, and my phone rings, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting. Cut! Please stop interrupting the filming. Bloopers number 4. First it's a centipede in the last episode, and now it's a phone call. Okay, we're gonna put this on airplane mode.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it'd be like that sometimes.
Yes, just a little bit.
Hello to all of our glorious audience members. I am the soul-punishing, stardust-breaking enigma, Casual Shaw, and welcome to another episode of the Em&Cas Vodcast. Em?
Oh, I know. I'm ignoring you on purpose because I'm busy with my texting.
You know we're filming, right?
I know we're filming. I'm aware. I'm doing that to make a point that, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes people do this. They get addicted to social media, even when they're with their friends. They're so caught up in what's on their phone, they don't even hear the person beside them talking. Because social media, let's face it, a lot of times it can alienate us.
And that's the topic of this episode, how social media has influenced us, and I will also get into, hopefully really quickly, as to why I despise it with a blind passion, despite the fact that I own 2 accounts, and how 8 years later, I'm still not proud of it. So, I'm sure Emily has experienced, as well as a lot of people that I'm friends with, that anyone who knows me knows that I hate every single aspect about social media with a blind passion, and for reasons I will now get into. So strap yourselves in, because this might be quite a journey as to me actually opening up. And weirdly enough, why I call myself an enigma is just that. I rarely open up to anyone aside from those with whom I'm close with. And so social media for me is a bit of a biggie because of how I've really been associated with in that aspect. And here's a little unknown fact, Emily, is because of Instagram and Facebook did not start those of my own accord.
Interesting. How'd you start them then? How'd they get started?
Well, Facebook first was way back in 2010 with a good friend of mine wanted to play this old Facebook game called Wild Ones. And he's been trying to goad me for months to try and get it, and for the longest time I just said no, because I wasn't interested in Facebook, nor did I want to be bothered with it. And it wasn't until July of 2010 where I'm just like, fuck it, I'll just go make a Facebook account just so he can get his daily objectives and get his daily sign-in, so that way he could get his own rewards. And at the same time, maybe I was just preemptively judging the game before playing it, and as I was playing with him a lot more, I found it was pretty fun. And for the most part, that was my only requirement to play the game, was to make a Facebook account. And Facebook in 2010 was a lot more different than how it is in 2018 going into 2019, where you can play games, whereas nowadays you have so many different games and so many different outlets. It's practically rendered Facebook games obsolete. Maybe there are some Facebook games that I'm not aware of, and for obvious reasons as to why I am not aware of them, because nowadays he and I don't play those games anymore. But it was good for its time, and then more people started to take notice about my involvement with Facebook, and then people started adding me, and I'm just like, okay, well, this is my life now. This is what I chose. Or
better get used to it.
I didn't really choose it. I was roped into it. But hey, that's what peer pressure does, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Ugh. All right. So that was Facebook. I still have it, and to this day, it's just been the kind of thing that where it's rarely used. I would use it more often, and if you actually believe that, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, that I did use Facebook often. It wasn't until 2013, 2014 where I just opted to stop using it because I just hated it. More years went by. My disdain for Facebook just grew because there was also actually Emily does not know this until now that I used to have Twitter.
Interesting. Okay.
That
deleted it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Since then, I deleted it. I started Twitter of my own accord because I wanted to just follow a couple of wrestlers, i.e. Chris Jericho, The Rock, and a couple of bands, Metallica, Avenged Sevenfold, Slayer, Megadeth, and that's it. And then more people started to find me and follow me, and at the time I thought, out of respect, to just follow them back. And the reason why I closed down my Twitter account is because I had 19,000 tweets of absolute bullshit, and ultimately I just wasn't having any fun. It just turned out to be one big cluster bomb, and it was around the time.
Buster clock.
Yeah, that's why I said cluster bomb.
Okay, yeah, go on, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a platform where no one had anything interesting to say. No disrespect to the people that I was following. It was just, again, Twitter, I just wasn't having any fun.
You found it redundant, completely redundant, absolutely nothing but endless redundancy.
And there was a point where I felt it was taking over my life because a majority of the time I would just be checking tweets just for updates on what everyone was doing, and then there was just a lot of updates that were completely random and generalized to the point to where it's stuff that we already know, as if someone was tweeting, "Oh, it snowed today," like. Yeah, obviously it snowed today. I could just walk outside or look out my window where I was, and yeah, I could notice that it's snowing. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Is there something else that you'd like to share that we already know? It was those kinds of things where I was just like, no, I wasn't having it, and then I just closed out my account. Not because I had an absurd amount of tweets. That was obvious, but again, it was the kind of thing that I just wanted to avoid, and there were things that people would retweet because it was kind of forced, where you would have to retweet if, in terms of religion, I hate going into religion as much as I don't like going into politics, but this was another catalyst as to why I dropped Twitter, is because people would say retweet if you like Jesus or ignore if you worship Satan, and I'm like, okay, bye. I would just turn off the app. I just couldn't be bothered. And then I realized, oh wow, I need help. And I didn't get help, where I kicked it off of my own accord. And then I just decided, no, I'm sending my account to hell, and I just deleted it. I couldn't be bothered. I didn't like it. I didn't need it, and at that point I didn't want it. And with Instagram, it's a little more tame because, at least with that, like Facebook was started by another friend of mine, and for me, I honestly thought Instagram, the way how I do with Snapchat, is utterly pointless because all you do is post pictures, and then for Snapchat, you just post pictures and then it's gone within 24 hours.
Videos.
Yes, you're right. Pictures and videos, and then it's gone for 24 hours. So if you want to keep the picture, or if you miss it, then just post it on Instagram.
Take a screenshot, or you can take a screenshot of it while it's playing. But with the video, you miss the video anyway, unless you record it with another phone.
Yes.
You could record it with another phone while it's playing if you're real fast.
Right.
I've done this, or take a screenshot of the picture.
Okay.
Some tips, since I use social media, let's face it, a lot more than you do.
Yes, and I'm sure all of you who are following us at this far into our podcast, that you know that out of the two of us, Emily here is more social than I will ever be. Yes, a lot more active, and for not in the reason why I don't want to promote this podcast. I mean, I hope I learned from after making this that I do use social media to promote myself, and it's that very same promotion where I learned going into the acting fields is what I've actually done to both my accounts at this point. So generally, I've hardwired both Facebook and Instagram to the point to where I only post acting stuff. And this was also, keep in mind, before I started this podcast with Emily, before I got into my first relationship, et cetera, et cetera. But the reason why I feel, for someone like me, I would only post acting stuff is because, well, again, it's why I'm very recluse and I'm very private to only my closest friends and my parents. Is just that I feel if I don't post anything acting related, no one will give a damn as to what I have to say. Where with Instagram is a perfect example, because I used to post sometimes when I'm outside, or if I find I want to improve my photography, I would maybe get a little under 10 likes. And then come 2013, when I decided to go to film school and I would post pictures when I'm on set, that's when my following grew. And I at the time just said, okay, well, I'm getting more attention when I'm acting, because people from my high school knew that I wanted to be an actor. So this was just them seeing the first steps in trying to go into my career. And I'd like to think maybe you did the same thing too.
With what, with posting with acting, you mean?
Yeah, with anything that you post, because I know you have more followers than I do.
Well, okay, should I share my story now about how I evolved? Okay,
yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm making sure I didn't cut you off. Okay, so for me, it's a little bit of a different story, although I had some similarities in common with you. When I was younger, I used to get like really bad social anxiety, especially when I was in high school. So it was kind of similar for me as to how I got started on Facebook. I actually got started way back when Facebook really first began its very early stages in 2007.
2007?
Yeah,
really?
yeah, when I was in... Oh god, I gave away my age. Okay. Sorry. Well, okay, 2007, yes, I will just say... Young, okay? Young, 2007.
Alright, I'll censor it.
Yeah, I started in 2007, okay, so, and then I actually deleted that account and then made a brand new account in 2008. So the current account I have is not the one I had from 2007.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so anyway, that being said, a classmate of mine from school, not giving away age.
Okay.
She just messaged me, oh, you should try out Facebook, you know, it's this cool site, it's really free, and you connect with your friends, and you meet people, and you network, and you get to share your new jobs, and it's a good way to find whatever, get help with homework, whatever, because we didn't have jobs back then, let's face it, we were too young. Anyway, yeah, so I'm speaking as if I'm 90 years old right now, and I'm not, obviously.
Back in my day,
The olden days, yeah. So going on, so I just said, okay, so what's the site about? I didn't know anything about it, again, very young and naive. So I just signed up, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll post a few pictures, I won't put anything major on it. And then I think a week or two afterwards, all of a sudden, that's when like the bullying started. I had classmates at me not knowing what to do. I have to see them every day in school. I guess I better accept their friend request, because God knows, I guess they'll shoot me in the head if I don't.
That was exactly my mindset too.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, let me finish.
Oh,
so then,
God.
yeah, so then one of my, well, of course, boys are immature at this age. But yeah, he just said, have you seen her Facebook? Have you seen Carpenter's Facebook?
But why?
She posts all this weird stuff. Why are you posting weird stuff? And I'm like, how am I posting weird stuff when I posted vacation pictures of my trip in Williamsburg, Virginia? Like, what the hell? Like, how am I posting weird stuff?
So what, you're gonna kick me in the face of every time I post?
Yeah,
What
I
is
know.
this?
No, they would really bother me. What we would do is during the lunch hour or during break, when we were allowed on the computers in the classroom, they would just go on Facebook and they start stalking me, to bully me or whatever, and say, why are you posting this? Why are you posting this? No one cares, Emily. Then it's like, if you don't care, then why are you checking out my profile in the first place?
Oh, now you fucked up.
Because let's face it, if you say something and you say you don't care and you make the time to check, you obviously care.
What are you, fucking stupid?
Yeah, exactly. So continuing on, exactly. We said this before about other things. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So going on, so I kept it. So I kept it from 2007 all the way up until 2008, and then my social anxiety started going bad. I started going to school every day, and it was the summer, you know, and I was just really nervous about going back to school in the fall, in September, and I just said, where am I going to see all these people? I got into a big fight, I think, with a group of girls in high school, and then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to delete this over the summer, then when I come back in the fall, no one's going to remember anything. So actually, it was because back then, I think they've allowed it now so you can permanently delete your account again and not just deactivate. You can permanently delete it. As far as I know, they changed the policy.
Facebook?
Yeah. Because just last year, a few months ago, if I could be wrong, I have to check again, but it used to be where you could only put deactivate, and maybe people got pissed off at Mark Zuckerberg or whatever. Sorry, Mark Zuckerberg, if you're watching this video. I don't want you suing me for saying this. But, yeah, maybe they didn't like your policy policies or whatever, because he would only allow people to deactivate their account and not permanently delete it, and people like their privacy, knowing that if they don't want to keep Facebook anymore, that it's wiped out for good. All the pictures, all the comments they wrote, everything is wiped out. Now, I don't know for sure if the messages that you left from like 5-10 years ago, if you had Facebook that long, like I have, if those would be permanently deleted if you decided to permanently delete your account. I'm actually not sure how that works, because I don't plan on permanently deleting my account anymore. So here's where the turnaround happened for me as to why I no longer have anxiety with Facebook or social anxiety. Honestly, I mind my own business. If people comment mean things, I either block them if they're an acquaintance. If I've only met them once and they're saying rude stuff, I don't talk to them again. I unfriend them, I block them, I don't respond. If people are making rude comments, I delete them. And that's how I stay away from drama. And I limit myself too. I turn off all my notifications on Messenger, especially on the phone that I go to use when I'm out. I don't have time to reply to your message right away. If you want to get an instant response from me, text me. That's what I tell people. Because texting almost feels a little bit more personal, because you don't have a whole bunch of messages. This friend messaged me, I have to reply back to them. If they don't, they're going to think I ignored them, and then they're going to think that I'm mad at them. This is the problem with social media. You're basically hiding behind a screen texting, and people get real brave on social media. Let's face it, people can say real nasty things because they know that if they were to see you face to face, they won't have to say it to your face, or they might not ever have to see you ever again in person. So this is where the drama gets surreal. You and I, especially me, I think you know a bit, but I know a lot. I know it all too well how nasty and vicious people can get on here.
Oh no, I have a fair share of stories as to how people can get extremely volatile on social media, and I'm really glad you touched upon that, because it's those same quote unquote keyboard warriors that feel so sufficient in hiding through the means of the digital spectrum, where, as you said, they can say pretty much whatever they want, knowing the fact that whoever they see this to, they won't have their target find where they live and then show up at their front door, having that person initially who sent the text open the door to have their head hacked off with the chainsaw
or with an axe.
So yeah, it's like that kind of fear where all you can do is curse at each other back and forth, and then you just have one big sabbatical. Wow, I can't word good. You have
you
one
word well.
Yes, I know that's the joke. You just have one big argument where it just doesn't end, and it's where I relate social media, or in this case Facebook, to like Monopoly or Super Mario Party, or Mario Party in general, where it just makes you hate your friends.
It does. Speaking of which, you mind if I interject with that?
Go ahead.
I was going to say something in my brain. I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, I didn't explain why I got Facebook again in 2008. I was going to get into that. Again, peer pressure. Similar thing to you. A friend of mine, she just said, "Oh, you deleted your Facebook, Emily." Like all of a sudden, my real friends, or at least the people I thought were my real friends, she just said to me, "Why'd you delete your Facebook?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, it was just making me nervous all the time, and I wasn't getting any use out of it. I just think it's a waste of time."
For a good reason, right?
Yeah, and because I have social anxiety, like I said, and I just felt weird going to school every day, seeing people wondering if they were creeping my profile. And I think what happened, I know what happened the summer before the new grade began in September. I think before the summer began, I was so paranoid because someone wrote something mean, I think on my wall, because they had walls. They used the wall back then a lot more than they do now.
Do they still use that terminology in 2018?
Facebook wall, I think.
Or timeline.
Timeline. We had a wall back then. Shows how old this was. Shows how long I've had Facebook for, okay? So, a guy that I liked in high school, he wrote something because, I ended up like walking home with him after school, and we got into an argument, and long story, because I thought he liked this other girl who I ended up being really good friends with in college. That's another story to share with her another day.
Oh, irony.
Yeah, and her and I ended up being good friends, and unfortunately I haven't talked to her in almost 2 or 3 years now, but she's still on my Facebook. Going on. So this guy and I got into a fight, and then he ends up writing on my wall, "WTF, why'd you follow me home after school as if I was some crazy stalker?"
What's so good about having social media? If not only if it drives your social anxiety to the point to where you're going to break mentally, but at the same time, you're going to school with these people, and then they just write smut on your wall, and the fact that you are going to see them.
No, he wrote on my wall, and he didn't even send it in a private message. You could have at least sent it to me in a private message if you're going to do something like that. If you're not going to say it to my face, face. At least have the courtesy to make it private between you and I. But no, of course not, because this is high school.
Stop it. Get some help.
I still remember the words that he said to me to this 10 years later.
And that's how stories like this exist.
Yes, because it shows how words can hurt you. People remember words. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Words do hurt. That's a myth, by the way. Because I still remember this guy's words to me. He just said, WTF, question mark, exclamation mark. Why the hell did you follow me home after school? Leave me and insert girl's name here. Leave me and my girlfriend alone. And then you know what he said at the end? Later, creep. Later, creep. He called me a creep. Yeah, nice thing for a boy, you know. When you're going through puberty and all that, you're not exactly thinking. So then I had to see him at school the next day, and I think he avoided me. He took a different route home, and I think I took a different route home. And then you know what ended up happening? I deleted him off Facebook, and I deleted a whole bunch of mutual friends that him and I had in common. He was friends with all of them, and I was friends with them. I deleted all of them off Facebook, and I was so paranoid that they were going to notice that I had unfriended them before the summer started, that I wiped out my Facebook completely so they would forget.
I mean, you're already paranoid to begin with, and the fact that if you delete them is going to increase that paranoia.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that did to your stress level.
Exactly. And so I completely deleted it. And then the summer 2008, going back into school, it's like no one ever acted normal. It's like nothing ever happened. It was all in my head, my social anxiety. And then my friends like, what? Why'd you delete it? What happened? Get it back again. Then I ended up getting it back a month before my birthday, November 2008.
Oh,
I've had it for 10 years. It's 10th year anniversary now.
Oh.
All because of this high school friend who I still have on Facebook who doesn't even talk to me anymore.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, we can all just move on from this thing. And there are two things I've learned from your story, Emily.
Yeah.
It's that going back to this wrestler I follow by the name of Matt Hardy. He said there are two things about social media that really stood out. Is that the first thing is the good thing about social media is that it gives everyone a voice. Conversely, that's the same thing as to why social media is bad.
It's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. That's what it is.
It's that same voice as to what drove a wedge between the people and their use of social media.
Yeah.
Because if it drives all of us into near insanity, then why do we still come back to it?
We're addicted. I don't know, man. Well, for me, it's for acting work, modeling work. I promote myself via Instagram. I try and promote this channel on Facebook. I promote this channel on Instagram. It's really a promotion for my career, and you can make money off social media, believe it or not. You can. Just like, on Instagram, there's ways of making money. You don't have to have 10,000 followers or more to make money on Instagram. You sell products on there, affiliate marketing, all sorts of things you can do. You just have to find a way to make social media work for you and try and make it as much of a positive experience as you possibly can. The world's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but try and make the best of it. Since you only live once, right? You only got one life to live.
YOLO!
Yeah.
Bringing that shit back.
Drake. Oh my goodness. I don't even listen to Drake, but no offense to anyone that listens to Drake.
Nah, it's okay. I don't listen to it.
I never listen to him, but for those of you who do,
yeah,
it's okay if you do.
Yeah, that other stereotype, the fact that we're from Toronto and you think that we would listen to Drake, but no.
No, I don't even listen to Bieber that much either. I used to when I was younger, but nothing against Bieber. I just don't find myself listening to his music anymore.
They have their fan base, yeah. And their fan base is their own, to each their own. And if they like listening to Justin Bieber, if they like listening to Drake, more power to them.
Great. I still like Nickelback, Canadian. I still like Avril Lavigne. I still like Shania Twain, Simple Plan, all those Canadian bands. I like all of them. Anyway, one more thing I was going to mention before we sign off, because this is getting long. If you're okay.
I still have
sorry.
more, so this is essentially going to be a part 2 to this, because there's a lot of things as to what I want to talk about social media. So yeah, we can sign up for this one and then continue in another episode.
Okay, sure. We can end this one and we'll continue in another episode.
Yeah, you said you wanted one more thing to say before you sign up, right?
Oh yes, quickly. I won't make it long. So anyway, speaking of how it ruins friendships, when you've dated someone and you've been romantically involved with them, whether you've done the deed, whether you haven't, regardless, whether or not you had feelings for that person, whatever, if they're still, going around on social media, posting pictures of their latest girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and if they still message you and say they want to be friends with you, that ruins a friendship if you still want want that person in your life, then why are you trying to purposely hurt them by posting public pictures of your relationship? I mean, for me, I'm a very private person. If I'm dating someone, I'm not going to post too many pictures of me, if any pictures at all, of me and said person. I mean, A, because I'm a private person. B, because unless I'm trying to make it as a tool to make somebody jealous, which I think I've been guilty of before. But I don't really have any reason to do that anymore. I'm not in high school anymore. Why do it? I mean, I see people every time they date a new person, they change their profile picture. It's a new person. A year later, new person profile picture. A year later, new person. They might not even change their relationship status. The picture gives it away. What is your opinion on that? What are your thoughts on that? And now I can't be friends with said person anymore because I know they have a girlfriend. They rubbed it in my face, and yet they still message me while they have a girlfriend saying, I still want to be friends. If you want to message me and be friends, call me. And don't publicly post pictures of your new girlfriend, your latest girlfriend, telling the whole world about it. Because to be honest, I'd rather not know. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
On a lot of aspects.
What I just said.
Okay, well, let me get into it. In a lot of aspects, I do agree with the fact that if you're in a relationship, I don't want a lot of people knowing, but yeah, that's just us in our uses of social media, and our accounts are our own at the end of the day. We use them the way how we see fit, and it's the whole privacy that I feel a lot of people tend to overlook because of the fact that people would just love to show and share as much as they can, regardless if it's a relationship or if it's a new job or whatever positive outcome that they've had in their lives. I feel like the key word here for this episode is balance. And when it comes to sharing what you want to share, there is no balance. And
or boundaries. Sorry. Yeah.
Or boundaries, sure. And they just share too much or not enough to where if they don't show enough, no one will care. Or if they show too much, people will get annoyed and unfriend you faster than you can re-add them on Facebook or follow them on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. And in terms of going back to relationships, however, that in itself is a double-edged sword because, you have someone that could be for that moment the person of your dreams, and you want to spend every single moment, and then you want to tell the whole world as to how happy your significant other has made you happy.
Yeah.
And at that time, what if something goes wrong later down the road, 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, and then you guys break up, and then you have all of these posts that you've made with your significant other at the time now becoming an ex, and then you just have a gigantic egg on your face of how much time you guys wasted. Oh God, that's going to be very awkward for the two people that were in a relationship, and it's like you share way too much, and then all those things that you share you now have to delete because the relationship just didn't work out. I would post when I was in my relationship here and there on Instagram, and I would have a couple of pictures on Facebook too. I never changed my profile picture for one, and two,
Smart.
I only kept the way how Instagram is now. They have stories, so I guess all the social media outlets have intertwined so that way they all work towards each other.
Yeah.
And I would keep, if I were to post my relationship in the Instagram story, and it just wouldn't go any further from there.
Good. Well, because you didn't post anything to begin with, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, you're a private person. Are you done? You were my amigo? Are you
okay, yeah. One last thing. When it comes to acting, that's also the relationship aspect where people have no balance as to how much they post, because there could be a couple of actors that are very supportive and they're happy that whoever's making the post are on set all the time, and that's great. And there's a thing where you do it multiple times, or you have audition after audition, or if you're constantly doing a background set where you're going to be on this TV show and you have another person, call this person A who's making all of these posts, person B who's being supportive, and then there's person C who's pretty much down on their luck thinking, oh my God, I can't be in their position. Like, you can't have all these auditions, you can't be on set all the time, you see all these posts and pictures as to how many people are doing what, and you want to be in that same vein. And that's where social media can also, as you had talked about previously, that just builds your anxiety of thinking that you're not good enough. And that's a thing. If you're already comparing yourself to another person, then you've already lost the mental game, because just because someone is in a certain certain level of where they are career-wise compared to you doesn't mean that it won't happen to you. The bottom line is good things happen to everyone at different times. Some just comes a little faster than others, but at the same time, just because of that aspect doesn't mean you won't get that for yourself. You will get your shine one day, and believe me, when you make that post, everyone will give you that virtual standing ovation that you so rightly deserve, because at the end of the day, they just want to see you happy just as much as they are happy. And that's really the key to social media, is to have that balance to what you want to post and what you should keep under wraps. And at the same time, that way it won't start sparks between two people that you don't want to used to call your best friends. And just ultimately live your life, because I feel when you're actually talking to someone up close, well, Emily and I are talking to each other right now, I feel that social media is also taking that away.
Yeah.
You don't see people talking to each other.
No. So anyway, this episode is running really long. We'll probably make a part 2, like you said. So yeah, it's hard to remain friends with somebody after they posted pictures of their new girlfriend, and I'm not friends with this person to this day. We were romantically involved. You post pictures of your latest girlfriend every year. The profile picture changes. You're with somebody new. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to hear about it. And honestly, unfortunately, that's why this person is blocked and has been blocked now for a year and a half. And it's probably going to remain blocked. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, drastic calls call for drastic measures, and someone just won't leave you alone, or they're just putting something in your face that you don't want to see.
Oh, really?
Just get rid of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what you have to do, and I don't like to do it, but that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Maybe we'll post a few links. I mean, I was thinking there's a few websites that I found about social media and how detrimental it is to everyday living that I thought I'd post in the description. Sure. I can send them to you.
Okay.
One of us will put it in the description. Maybe you, because you have a little bit more time on your hands right now than I do.
Sure.
And and I think there's even magazine articles that I've read about it in Cosmo. So anyway, more than one person can definitely share your opinions in the comments below if you agree with us or not, that it alienates you. If anything, I don't really think it brings people together, unless you live in another country that's different.
Yeah.
Now, I have friends in the States that I still talk to and I was able to visit because of social media, but if you're living in the same town, it alienates you, I found. But if you're living in another country, it brings you closer together. That's what's weird about it.
Exactly. We just have to remember at the end of the day, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, it makes connections.
That's it. Thank you so much for watching. You want to add your social...
Oh, wank off.
Contradictory. You only have one profile, so...
My sodding Instagram is @Casual. Follow if you want.
And toodaloo. Bye-bye. Pleasure.
And I bid you all a good night, and we'll see you in the next one.